us here on the morning call. This is Skyline News, or live in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I'm Mofwegwe. We're staying grateful as always. It's a new week, at least the start of the business week. Hopefully you had an amazing weekend and you're pumped for this very promising week that begins business-wise today. Moreno Haniel, happy Monday to you.
Good morning, Mr. Uyi. Good morning. It's going to be a very beautiful day. Because the weather was amazing. I trust everyone woke up.
The weather, right?
The weather is fine. And we're starting on Monday with very good news. The 33 that were rescued by the soldiers in Zamfara State.
Right.
I think we are starting the Monday with a very good news. And hopefully the rest of the week will be beautiful as well.
All right. We'll look forward to that. For a country that has seen so much of bad news, turbulence, insecurity, economic hardship. This morning on my way to work, a couple of gentlemen took our time to talk about the bites that the fuel price has created and how that is playing out in virtually everything. Now, you know what they say about the price of petrol in Nigeria. When it sneezes, everything else catches cold, including food prices and everything else that follows. Right. It's the reason you realize that most times when you ask people to do an assessment of government, that's where they start from, because that's actually where they feel the pulse the most.
Yes. So even though the macroeconomics are telling us different, the pulses of the people are saying something different. So is that how we measure the growth of the economy now?
The challenge with macroeconomics, if you ask me, is not a field where I'm an expert. But I do understand who knows, the surface, right? It's interesting how the macroeconomic elements can look amazing, right? But the question is, how much does it trickle down to the everyday Nigerian? This is a country we are told of over 200 million human beings. So how many persons are looking at those numbers really to say, oh, well, look, we're doing well fiscal policy-wise, monetary policy-wise. The CBN, for example, has been able to, as it were, properly and effectively drive the forex and so on and so forth. And then you also need to now look at what are we being told about things regarding, for example, issues that have to do with foreign direct investments. We hear that every time, President Bola Tinubu travels abroad, there's so much he brings back home in terms of FDI. But I'm wondering, if I go to tackle markets between now and say noon today, how many of those traders understand what it means when you say we are attracting foreign direct investments? Because for them, the benchmarks are very simple, all right? Food on our table, ease of transportation in terms of costs, accessibility, what else? Life expectancy, because when you talk about the HDI, the Human Development Index, those are the issues people are concerned about. If I had malaria, for example, on a scale of 10, what are the odds that I can get, quality care, and how fast will that happen? Up until today, people still complain about hospitals, whether you're talking about tertiary or primary health care, whatever it is. In fact, it's a shame on us as a country. Maybe we're going to follow this conversation, but these are issues that affect us, right? It's a shame on us as a country that somebody would have malaria, would have fever, would have headache, or cases of, my temperature just got shot up, and they go to a teaching hospital, they go to a federal medical center, and then you're asking, whatever happened to the local health facility, the general hospitals, and so on and so forth. But, let's be sincere with ourselves. Does the average citizen care? At that point in time, under such circumstance, the only thing that you're obsessed about, so to say, is how to get well. So the question of where should I go to? Is it the local health facility in my local government area or the teaching hospital? It's an afterthought.
Last week, primary health care, they said there's a lot of destruction in their hospitals.
Right, over 5,000.
Yeah, it's over 5,000. So these people in these communities, where do they go to?
Right.
Because the people don't earn that much, so they depend on the primary health care centers.
Right.
So there's a lot of deterioration in when it comes to human development. There's a lot of deterioration. There's a lot. So when you look at the macroeconomy, they don't go side by side.
Right.
Now we're hearing that the tax revenue has increased, but it's not telling. It's rather telling a toll on the people that were paying more taxes.
I think the governors are the ones smiling to the bank, as far as I see right now. We've seen President Bola Tinubu on more than one occasion. I apologize for bumping him, by the way, but this is something that gets to my heart, quite frankly. We've seen the president say to governors at some point, very pointedly, to say, "Look, you've got to get your acts together." I'm not using the president's exact words, but the message is clear. Get to do the needful by your people. Do right by your people. All right. You've seen astronomical increase in the allocation that comes to you on a monthly basis. The question is, what has changed for the better for the people in your states? Must we run to Abuja for everything? So Moreno can't afford pastes in the morning. She runs to Abuja. Uyi cannot pay for a tricycle ride, or keke as we call it, between AYA and wherever he's going to. He runs to Abuja. What happens to the local government councils where we have chairmen, the states where we have governors? And we even understand, in my home state of Edo, for example, we are hearing, I've not, independently verified, that there has been this geometric increase in the allocations that they get under the current administration in the states. Are those local government chairmen coming out to tell the people in those councils to say, look, we used to get X, Y, Z before now, but starting from so and so time, we're beginning to get this and that? Are they saying that? Is that being reflected in the market structures that they have? Are they seeing real-time concrete upgrade in their local health facilities? Are the roads being at least graded, if not tarred? Do they see anything that indicates that, look, this government, these local governments, under this particular chairman, for instance, is forward thinking? You see, we can't politicize everything. And that's the reason you see when you hear social economic analysts say that we have successfully, of course, that's all thanks to the political class, weaponized poverty in this country. I mean, nothing's more true.
Yeah, that's so sad.
Yeah.
Maybe the Kano government has helped by marrying them to each other.
I mean, what can we do? Matter of sheer necessity, isn't it? Well, it's quite a loaded program this morning, as always. So many conversations that we need to have. But the point we're making here is that governments, top to bottom, federal, and of course, the subnationals must take responsibility for the kind of country that we want to see. We do not want to see, by the way, a situation where, as is always the tradition, because elections are upon us now, you see government running from pillar to post, trying to, as it were, drive certain sort of social investment schemes, handing out maybe mini bags of rice that have been repackaged in a warehouse somewhere. All of those sort of freebies, as they appear to be now.
Are they freebies? Are they actually
Well,
freebies?
what more can I say? Can I not be modest with my choice of words on a Monday morning? But I'm just saying that, look, people are already worn out with those tricks. They are old tricks now. They don't work anymore. People want to see a government that delivers real time. And that's how they are going to make decisions as to how they vote. But again, my fear is, where poverty has been weaponized, do people have much option? It's very easy when you come on air and you tell people, look, go out, vote your conscience. Don't vote based on financial inducements. As a former governor in my state will say, who is now a senator, one man, one vote, and so on and so forth. It's easy to say all of those things. I mean, hypothetically.
For the poverty.
Right. But when people wake up in the morning, they have no idea whatsoever where the first meal or the last meal or the meal in between will come from. They have no idea how their children will go back to school in September. By the way, that's just a matter of a few weeks away. And then you tell them not to collect 5,000, not to collect 10,000. In fact, I remember in 2020, we had an off-cycle election in my state because the gubernatorial election in my state is off-grid. And then a colleague, was sharing with me how that people were even debating who got higher pay at their different polling units. One said, well, where I voted, they were only giving out 2,000. The other one said, I was fortunate, then I got 5,000. The other guy says, oh, you guys were even down the ladder. I got 10,000. And in fact, I even got recharge card and I got data in addition and things like that. You're wondering, at what point did we commercialize our electoral process? Again, the question is, can we blame it entirely on the political class? Some people say, yes, you have to, because they are the ones who, as it were, putting these sort of very disturbing structures in place. And because it has worked for a set of politicians, there's a pretty good chance that the next set of politicians, yes, will want to not only reinvent the wheel, they'll upgrade that reinvention. And that's a sad place to be as a country.
When you keep keeping the people poor, you have a way of directing their consciousness.
Right.
In places where poverty is so alarming, they use both poverty and religion
Right.
It's so unfortunate. They use your physical condition and your psychological condition, to make you vote what you don't even plan for.
Right.
And it's so sad that in Nigeria we're always under these people. By the way, they make it easy for us to be under them like that. They keep us in poverty. They keep policies. Policies only affect the poor
Right.
negatively, but the rich don't get under this thing. So
They are off the radar, right?
they're always off the radar. Always. I mean, look at it in and out everywhere. I don't want to give examples, but so I don't know. At what point in time does it stop? We can't say.
Right.
But definitely the rich doesn't want, the politicians don't want the poor to get better. Because when they get better, they stop having your own mind, they start having a mind of their own.
It's crazy when you say these things, because that's exactly the reality you're painting, and it's quite pathetic. It just reminds me of when Barack Obama was the U.S. president, he visited Africa on one of those occasions. People had thought he would visit Nigeria as part of that itinerary, but then he stops short in Ghana and addresses Nigeria from Accra. You see, I can't remember everything he said at that point in time, but there was a part of his speech that stood out when he said, look, if Africa must make progress as a continent, it has to be such that it's intentionally, as individual countries or nations, and then as a collective on the continent, build institutions that are strong, not just men that are strong. But the question is, Obama has left office since January 20th, 2017. This is virtually 1 decade down the line. Have we moved from that thinking, that web of building strong men? And that's the reason when we say, for example, it looks like this particular political party is doing well, it's likely going to win the next election in these states or the next seats at the House of Assembly, for example. The first thing that crosses the mind of the everyday Nigerian is, who are the individuals in the party? Who are they, as it were, promoting to be the guy to take the seat at the House of Assembly or to become the next governor? In fact, we seem to, for the most part, determine who will likely win an election on the basis of how strong the person is. In this case, strong is not strong in terms of character. That's not the point. It's not strong in terms of, background, in terms of track record, unblemished kind of, history of work, of impact. It's based on how deep their pockets are, how many elections they've been able to manipulate over time, how smart or clever they've been with the electoral process over time, and things like that. So nobody really cares about, do they come with character? Do they have principles? Do they have something they can show they've done the last 5, 10, 20 years that we can use as a background or basis to determine whether or not they stand a chance at all? And when you have that kind of system, it's just going to be money bag kind of politics that you have. Because the day the guy who probably doesn't have so much money to throw around, but has character, has competence, has proven background, comes on board and says, Moreno, you guys have got to vote for me, we're going to look at him and say, hold on a second. Are we having the right conversation? But you see, that's where, again, we need to start having this conversation if we need to make progress as a country. I understand that it's time to take a break now. This break is just to introduce the next segment, which is, of course, our focus on big headlines from across our national dailies this morning. It is still the morning call here on Skyline News. Do stay with us.